It's true, virtual influencers have been around for a long time, but let's admit it, if you don't follow any or aren't tied to them through your work, these digital beings may remain a blurry concept. It's time to change this, especially as the rise of the metaverse gives brands and individuals a new reason to create their own virtual celebrity. In this video, we'll talk about how it all started, which influencers define the industry, how to create your own digital character.
It's something original, and some people understand and love it and share it. Others hate it and share it as well to show their hate.
And much more about the phenomenon that leaves no one indifferent. Before we begin, consider subscribing to our channel to not miss any upcoming videos on creativity, marketing, and culture. First, the basics. When did it all start? As a refresher, a virtual influencer or CGI influencer is a digital character created with computer graphic software, wrapped in engaging storytelling, and made accessible on media platforms. This idea seems quite modern. However, the concept of fictional celebrities wasn't born in our century. Max Headroom was advertised as the first computer-generated TV presenter.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy my film.
In reality, he was actor Matt Frewer, turned into the illusion of a CGI character thanks to special effects makeup, contact lenses, harsh lighting, and other editing effects. The Gorillaz are perhaps the most famous example of early virtual bands. Their Grammy Award hints at just how powerful cartoon musicians can be. Then there are VTubers. Ami Yamoto was the first true animated YouTuber, creating videos about her life back in London after living in Japan for a while. And then Miguela Souza entered the social media stage and took both it and the world by storm. Even though there were other virtual influencers before her, she was the first to go viral on Instagram and became a go-to media darling for the industry. Managed by Los Angeles-based tech startup Rud, Miguela was one of Time magazine's 25 most influential people on the internet. Miguela's example brings us to the next question. Who are some of the industry-defining digital characters so far? Shudu is known as the world's first digital supermodel, having worked with the likes of Hyundai, Balmain, Vogue, Furla, and many others. Looking extremely realistic, she always leaves people wondering if she was created by technology or not. Hatsune Miku is a Japanese music sensation who has been on multiple arena tours with her hologram concerts. Being born from Krypton Future Media in 2007, her concept is innovative, even nowadays. She is an open-sourced character based on a voice synthesizer software. Translating this into plain English, any aspiring music producer can record their own track with Miku's vocals, making her a real crowd-created virtual talent. CB of Casas Bahia is an exception to the general rule that virtual influencers rarely age. Casas Bahia is one of the main Brazilian retailer brands, and long before Instagram, CB, then under the name of Bahia Nino, was extremely well known as its mascot, almost a national cultural heritage. In 2017, he went through a redesign process, grew up from a child to a teenager, and now entertains his 5 million followers on Facebook and 3 million on Instagram. There are many more examples we could mention. As of recently, Instagram has verified 35 virtual influencers. Even though it's just a small blue check mark, it is one of the many signs indicating trustworthiness, platform approval, and respect towards these virtual celebrities. Do you follow any digital influencers? Who are your personal favorites? Share them in the comments section below. Meanwhile, we're moving on to the reasons that help them gain their fame. What are virtual influencer pros as well as cons, especially in brand marketing? Here's some of the benefits. Flexibility. As every aspect of these digital beings is intentionally crafted, they give clients more control over their collaborations. More than that, CGI influencers break down creative borders and make many things that would be impossible for a human being achievable. For example, digital celebrity Kai performed a concert in 7 different venues simultaneously. Next, innovation. Collaborating with a virtual influencer can be PR gold and an indication that your brand is on top of the trends in the present and future. Moving on to money. Digital influencers allow companies to save some costs, such as housing and travel expenses. More than that, they generally charge less compared to real-life bloggers with the same following. At the same time, virtual influencers generate almost 3 times the engagement of a human influencer. But of course, nothing exists without its cons. One of them is lack of originality. Some virtual influencer content is quite basic, but that's not true for everyone. And this may be the case for any blogger, computer-generated or not. However, what specifically applies to them are preconceptions against their digital nature. Even the most likable CGI celebrities awoke fears of artificial inventions being dangerous to humans. That said, some experts argue we shouldn't look at them as a threat.
We shouldn't be scared that virtual influencers will replace people. You can look at this from the different angles. First of all, there are still humans behind virtual influencers. So it's only about the form of communication. Second, I still believe that the human touch is what makes communication work. We all have seen communications and scenarios and some art that was created by artificial intelligence. And yeah, it's funny, it's cool to look at, it's interesting to read about it, but it's not working. So I guess that until artificial intelligence is not developed enough to fully imitate feelings and thoughts of human, all regular or real-life influencers are in a safe place, and I believe that will not be an issue within, I guess, at least next 5 or 10 years. I guess that the thing that could scare is that when the line between real and virtual influencer will be vanished, but I don't see that it could actually happen, because even if artificial intelligence is super smart, well, virtual influencers are limited to not being real. So they cannot do a lot of stuff that should be physically done. And that is why they always will be different from the real influencers.
What are some notable cases of brands and organizations investing in this futuristic means of marketing? Last year, Prada debuted Candy, its own computer-generated muse invented to promote its fragrance collection. She was featured in several advertising formats, including a print campaign, short films, and on social platforms such as Twitch, Snapchat, and TikTok. The Candy collection was initially introduced back in 2011. Its relaunch 10 years later was held with the appeal to rethink reality, and a digital character was a perfect fit for such a campaign. Alibaba worked with the International Olympic Committee to create a virtual influencer, Dong Dong, to generate excitement for the upcoming event and to promote merchandise for the Winter Games. Earlier, the World Health Organization teamed up with virtual influencer Knox Frost to raise awareness on how people can stop the spread of COVID-19 and also to drive donations for WHO. If these examples inspired you and your brand to collaborate with an existing influencer, we have a quick piece of advice for you.
I would say, even though it's a virtual influencer, your communication should still look organic. It's not cool to just give your product to a real influencer and make a couple of photos and say that it's already working. No, you should come up with some story. For example, in terms of our collaboration with Bird app, the app that helps people to find apartments, we integrated the whole scene into the story of our virtual influencer Astra. When she moved to Ukraine, she was living in the hotel, and at some point she decided to find a new apartment, to rent the apartment. So she used this bird app and she found the apartment and organically showed the whole flow of how it happened. Also, we made it even more organic because prior to launch of this communication, we made survey among Astra subscribers and we asked them, okay guys, how do you find apartment nowadays? And most of them actually answered that it was a bird app. So we made a pre-communication, we showcased the flow of using this product, and then we showed the result. Astra in a beautiful apartment.
Maybe you want to go even further and create your own influencer. What is the actual process of doing so? Identify and research your target audience. Your digital celebrity can only have an impact if there are people interested in him or her. So start with finding out what they care about and what content they prefer. Then build a persona. Even though virtual influencers are products of technology, their popularity and likability depends heavily on storytelling. What do they believe in? What is their regular day like? How do they dress? What are their personality traits? Next comes designing. A few years ago, the Cut Media team wondered if they could create their own Lil Miguela in 48 hours. And that's exactly what their in-house motion graphic artist did. Step number 4 is about finding a living space for your celebrity to be. In other words, it's time to pack everything into a social media account. Choose a profile picture, craft an eye-catching description. Think about a content plan and plot lines. And then it's time to execute the ideas. Produce regular content for your influencer to keep the audience engaged.
I guess the main challenge during Astra production was to find this balance between the desired quality of visuals and the resources that we invest into this production. For example, in terms of MetaHuman from Unreal, you can receive more realistic virtual influencers, but at the same time you're limited with the number of models of how these virtual influencers can look. You have limited customization opportunities. For the other engines, for example like iClone, you have more customization options, but these virtual influencers don't look so realistic.
Last but not least, and definitely not the easiest, build up a social media following for your virtual influencer. Think strategically and use various tools to attract the audience. By the way, despite their digital nature, these characters shouldn't be limited to online communications only.
So basically, virtual influencers can be perceived in 2 ways. First, it's a new anthropomorphic brand media that can own different social medias, that can work within different social medias. And second, virtual influencer at some point can be a brand, like a brand mascot. So that is why it can be present in the outdoors advertising, so and in store, on trade, off trade, at a promotion. So from my perspective, virtual influencer can be a part of the communication in all channels, similar to regular influencers.
It's estimated that the process of creating a fully custom virtual identity from scratch, including strategy, the creative and CGI process, takes between 6 to 12 weeks, and after that, it's a never-ending journey. To maintain a constant social presence, a virtual influencer, much like a real celebrity, requires a number of creative talents: photographers, CGI artists, retouchers, animators, storytellers, models, content planners, fashion strategists, social media managers, partnership managers, PR strategists, and more. So despite the popular worry that CGI influencers take away jobs from real people, in many ways, they do just the opposite. Thank you for spending your time with us. In the comments section below, share your thoughts. Why do some virtual influencers go insanely viral and others stay relatively unnoticed? We are saying our goodbyes for now, but if you want to see us again, just click the subscribe button. And as always, stay creative. See you.